Have you ever poured just everything into a project? Or maybe a team, or even a personal goal, only to watch it kind of fizzle out or just disappear?
Hmm. It happens.
Yeah, and we all want to make an impact that really lasts, something with deep roots that bears fruit long term. But gosh, the pressure today.
Oh, it's relentless.
It really is. Instant visibility, quick wins. It makes you stop and think, how do you actually build something that endures, something that doesn't just burn brightly for a second and then gone?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at this really profound framework called the seed phase.
Boy.
And our sources show it really comes down to three essential pillars: prayer, people, and presence. We've been digging into this amazing guide, the Preparation Before the Pulpit. It sort of gives us a roadmap for cultivating those deep, solid roots in pretty much any mission-driven thing you might be doing.
It's incredibly practical, actually.
Totally.
Yeah.
So our mission for you listening today is to really uncover why this hidden, sometimes slow, really intentional prep work, why it isn't just a nice idea, why it's maybe the most strategic investment you can make for real longevity, for real fruitfulness in whatever you're pouring yourself into.
Whether that's professional, personal, community-based, it applies across the board.
Exactly. Startups, communities, big personal journeys. This stuff is gold.
And that really hits the core tension, doesn't it? Our culture, it's almost hooked on this idea, this illusion of immediate growth.
Yeah.
Faster equals better, right?
Always.
But the wisdom we're digging into today, it pushes back hard against that. It reminds us that the truly foundational stuff, the work that lasts, it's often unseen, it's slow on purpose, incredibly intentional.
Planting, not just plucking. I like that.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's really unpack this. What exactly is this seed phase that the sources talk about so much, and why does it feel so countercultural in our fast-paced world?
Right. Well, think of it like an intentional season. It's all about that unseen cultivation.
Okay, unseen work.
Yeah, exactly. Our sources describe it as this really dedicated time for establishing a strong inner core, building solid relationships, aligning deeply with your vision, and really crucial, a period of personal grounding and integrity for leaders.
So it's inner work first.
Absolutely. The whole point is to forge character, build resilience, sharpen your discernment before any public launch or visible growth.
Before anyone even sees anything.
Precisely. Before the spotlight hits, it's about building that internal architecture, strong enough to handle whatever comes. And that's such a contrast to what the source calls the illusion of immediate growth. It points out how, urbanization, globalization, the digital pressure cooker, all demands quick results. But the warning is this often leads to what it calls fragile fruit.
Fragile fruit. That image really lands.
Doesn't it? The guide even says churches launched in haste often collapse under stress. But you can apply that anywhere. Projects rushed out the door.
Yeah, they crumble it at the first hurdle. It's like building a skyscraper without digging the foundation deep enough. Looks impressive going up.
But it's fundamentally unstable. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the sources say it so clearly. Roots neglected are fruits forfeited. That hidden work, it's the actual bedrock.
It really sounds like it.
And this isn't some radical new idea either. History, scripture, they're packed with examples. Think about David. His leadership wasn't shaped in the palace court.
Right, out in the fields, the wilderness.
Exactly. Unseen trials, building character, or Joseph, that whole journey, betrayal, prison. The texts frame it as a prolonged period of unseen development, getting him ready.
Yeah.
And maybe the biggest one for many, Jesus. 30 years, pretty much obscurity, right? Growing in wisdom, favor, and obedience before the public ministry even began.
30 years is a long seed phase.
It puts things in perspective, doesn't it? These are all powerful examples of leaders whose deep roots allowed for incredible, lasting impact.
So the message is clear. This hidden time, it's not wasted time. It's maybe the most strategic investment a leader can make. Okay, I get that. But this invisible work, how do we do it, practically speaking?
Right. How do you build this hidden architecture?
Yeah. This is where it gets really helpful, I think, because our sources lay out three critical pillars holding up this whole seed phase.
Prayer, people, and presence.
Let's dive into that first one, prayer. The sources call it the engine room of the mission. Okay, engine room. That sounds vital. But for someone who feels that pressure, to be constantly doing strategizing, what's the risk? What's the hidden cost if they treat prayer as just optional, an add-on?
The cost is huge, actually.
Yeah.
Because the key insight here, as the guide puts it, is that prayer isn't just preparing for the work. It is the work.
Wow. Okay. That shifts things.
Doesn't it? Think about the early Christian church.
Yeah.
The book of Acts says it was birthed not in strategy sessions, but in prayer meetings. The guide stresses that prayer anchors the planter in God's voice rather than their own ambition. It's about getting divine insight, not just relying on clever human plans.
So less about my brilliant idea, more about aligning with something bigger.
Exactly. And the source talks about the Gethsemane principle. It draws on that moment where Jesus is wrestling,
Intense.
And it models how prayer is the place where our own will, our ego kind of surrenders to a higher purpose or to God's plan. It's where you confront fear, dismantle that reliance on yourself,
Yeah.
cultivate real humility.
Okay, so it's not just asking for stuff, it's a deeper surrender.
It's a fundamental shift. If you miss this, you're essentially building on your own steam, your own limited strength and perspective.
Which connects back to that fragile fruit idea, I guess.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected.
So practically then,
Hmm.
how does this look if prayer is the engine room?
Well, the guide suggests things like, before launching services or any major initiative, plant rhythms of prayer.
Rhythms, not just one-offs.
Exactly. Like building a habit, a discipline. Forming dedicated intercessory teams, people whose specific role is to carry the spiritual weight through prayer. And teaching everyone involved that prayer is the bloodstream of the whole thing, not just some separate department or ministry silo.
The bloodstream, I like that. It feeds everything.
It really does.
Mm.
Look at Paul's letters, like Ephesians. He's constantly praying for deep spiritual strength for the communities. That's the model. Foundational, empowering prayer.
Okay, that makes sense. Prayer is the absolute core, but that internal strength, it needs people, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned people as the second pillar.
Or two. People.
And the sources draw a really important line here, don't they, between building a community and just gathering a crowd. What's the real difference? Why does that distinction matter so much, especially early on in this seed phase?
Oh, it's a massive difference. The guide contrasts them sharply. Crowds, it says, are often drawn by charisma, by spectacle, maybe a trend.
The shiny object.
Exactly. But they tend to scatter when things get tough. Communities, though, they're sustained by something deeper, shared purpose, covenant, commitment. They endure trials together. They cultivate substance, not just surface excitement.
Like the difference between fans and family.
That's a great way to put it. Peter, in the New Testament, uses that image of living stones. The community isn't just a building you construct on people. It's a spiritual house built of unique individuals fitted together.
Okay.
And the source emphasizes koinonia, that Greek word. It's way more than just coffee and donuts after a meeting.
Right. Not just superficial fellowship.
No. It's shared life, real vulnerability, sacrifice, a deeply shared mission that binds people together. Think about Jesus' model again.
Yeah.
He chose 12 ordinary men and immersed them in his life.
He didn't rent a stadium.
He built a core community, intentionally small, incredibly deep. That was the foundation that carried everything forward.
That's fascinating when you think about team building today. Usually my first thought is skills, experience, the resume.
Right. What can they do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this source seems to be pointing somewhere else, somewhere deeper. What are the real non-negotiables for a team that's going to last, beyond just the technical stuff?
Yeah, this is critical. The source material says we need to prioritize character, chemistry, and calling over just skill sets.
Character, chemistry, calling. Okay, break that down.
Sure. Character is about integrity, values, trustworthiness. Who are they, fundamentally? Chemistry is about how people actually connect, interact, complement each other. Do they click? Is there synergy?
Right. You can't always see that on paper.
Not at all. And calling is that deep sense of alignment with the mission. Do they genuinely believe in what you're trying to do? These things, you assess them through shared experience, through seeing people in action, especially during that seed phase.
It takes time then.
It takes time and intentionality. And the source stresses unity as the soil for growth. You have to nurture it, which means you absolutely have to address conflict early and humbly.
Oof. Yeah, don't let it fester.
Exactly. Because it can metastasize and destroy the whole relational fabric.
So how does this connect to understanding the context, the soil we talked about? Does cultural humility change who you even look for or how you build that koinonia?
Absolutely. Cultural humility is key here. It means realizing your living stones, your team members, might come from vastly different backgrounds. They bring unique strengths, perspectives, ways of seeing the world.
Which is a huge asset if you can integrate it.
If you can truly integrate it. Fostering koinonia in that context means actively working to understand those differences. Adapting your approach so everyone feels included, valued, empowered, not just the people who are already like you. It's about building genuine belonging across difference.
That sounds challenging, but incredibly rewarding.
It is, and the guide also talks about stakeholder engagement, basically recognizing that any big undertaking is never a solo pursuit.
Right. It takes a village.
Pretty much. It uses this beautiful metaphor of a tapestry. All the different stakeholders may be early supporters, partner organizations, prayer partners, even the community you're serving. Each one weaves a vital thread.
A tapestry. I like that. Diverse threads making it stronger.
Exactly. Each thread brings its own color, texture, strength. Sending churches, mission boards, community partners, they all contribute.
So it's not just about the core team, but this whole network. What stands out to you most about how those different threads, those diverse people, actually create that resilience, that ability to last?
For me, it's the interdependence.
Yeah.
That's where the real strength lies. Each thread, that prayer partner praying faithfully, that community advocate opening doors, that team member with a specific skill, has a unique contribution.
Mm-hmm.
When you weave those together intentionally around that shared vision, the whole thing becomes so much stronger than just the individual parts. It creates this amazing network of support, wisdom, resources.
I can handle the bumps in the road.
Exactly. It can absorb shocks, adapt to changes in ways that one person or even a very uniform group just couldn't. It's dimensional strength.
Okay, so we've got deep prayer as the engine, strong, diverse community as the structure. How does this start to show up outwardly, even before anything official happens? That brings us to the third pillar, right? Presence.
Yes. Pillar 3, presence.
And the sources talk about establishing a life-giving presence so that credibility precedes the pulpit, or, credibility before the product launch, before the big announcement. What does that actually look like, and why is it so powerful?
This pillar gets to the heart of authenticity, I think. It reminds us that real impact, real life, doesn't just come from existing or from having great ideas. It flows from a deeper, more authentic presence.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine you're planning to, say, start a youth center in a neighborhood. Your presence there, how you show up, listen, interact with people long before the doors open, speaks volumes. That builds trust, credibility. The source actually points to Genesis, saying, life originates not merely from physical existence, but from God's presence. And it highlights Jesus' ministry again. It was so much about his embodied presence, not just his sermons. Think about Zacchaeus up in the tree.
Right, the tax collector.
Exactly. His whole life starts to change, not because Jesus lectured him, but because Jesus just invited himself over. I must stay at your house today. It starts with that simple, authentic, relational presence. Connection first.
So it's about being real, being present with people, showing up authentically, not just putting on a show or performing.
That's it, exactly. Being before doing. The sources explicitly warn against performance without presence, calls it a hollow structure.
All style, no substance. It collapses.
Right. And leaders are encouraged to lead from the tent of meeting. That's a reference to Moses, regularly stepping aside for that private connection, that grounding. It's a metaphor for any leader needing that intentional private reflection to sustain their public work.
So personal authenticity fuels public credibility.
Precisely. And for the community, the call is to teach people how to discern presence over performance, to value what's real, what's authentic, over what's just flashy or superficial.
This whole framework, prayer, people, presence, it feels really integrated, but also deeply dependent on the specific situation, doesn't it? It's not paint by numbers.
Not at all. It has to be contextual.
Which leads perfectly to something else the sources hammer home. The need to read your context wisely, understand the soil. How does knowing your specific environment, your soil, turbocharge these three pillars? How does it make sure the seeds actually take root?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. It's the difference between imposing something and truly planting something that belongs. The guide talks about using ethnographic methods, basically learning to listen before you lead.
Listen before you lead.
Okay, so your strategies actually fit the soil. Think about Jesus' parables. They were always rooted in the daily experiences of his audience, shepherds, seeds, fishing, stuff they understood.
Made sense to them.
Right. Or Paul in Athens, quoting their poets to connect with their worldview. He didn't just start yelling his own stuff. He found common ground first.
That requires humility, though.
Definitely. The source calls it cultural humility, cites James, quick to listen, slow to speak. It means digging deeper than just surface stuff. Understanding the history, maybe historical trauma, the social dynamics, the underlying beliefs, the unspoken anxieties.
Not just what people say they need, but what's really going on underneath.
Exactly. And doing it without judgment, without assuming your way, is the only way. That's how you avoid just transplanting your own ideas onto ground where they'll never thrive.
Wow. Okay, that ties it all together beautifully. So, if we zoom out, what's the big takeaway here for someone listening, someone trying to plant those seeds of change, build that lasting team, lead something meaningful? How does this all come together for them?
I think the big takeaway is that really knowing your soil, your context, is the glue that holds everything else together and makes it work. Well, understanding your soil means your prayer becomes specific, targeted to the actual needs and struggles, not just generic requests. It means you build people into a community where they feel genuinely seen, understood, and connected because it resonates with their reality. It fosters real belonging.
Right.
And it means your presence becomes truly incarnational, authentic, respected, effective, because it demonstrates deep empathy and understanding for that specific context. You're not an outsider imposing, you're part of the fabric.
And when those align.
That's when you get what the Source calls sustainable, spirit-led growth. Growth that's relevant, deeply rooted, and strong enough to last, strong enough to weather the storms.
So there we have it, real lasting impact. It's not found in that frantic sprint for the spotlight, is it?
Not usually, no.
It's in the patient, often hidden, intentional work, cultivating deep roots through prayer, through people, through presence, and always understanding the unique soil you're working in.
And remembering that this hidden work, it isn't just secondary. Our sources keep saying it. It's the most strategic investment you can possibly make if you want something to truly last, something that might even outlive its founders.
It really decides whether you're creating a flash in the pan or something enduring, a lasting movement.
Exactly.
So here's something to chew on. What if the truest measure of your impact isn't actually the stuff people see? What if it's what you cultivate invisibly beneath the surface? If that were really true, how might that change your definition of success, maybe starting today?